Hello, everybody. I'm Lorii Abela, and I am your host here at Scale Up. Here in Scale Up, we talk to different business owners, and they're talking about their big dreams and making it a reality. Obviously, there are a lot of people who are entrepreneurs right now as a result of the pandemic. Like, they have become very entrepreneurial. They have realized, okay, I have to do something else different. And one of our guests tonight is somebody who has started something new as well. So we would like to welcome a trauma-informed coach and founded Ascend Together to help professionals become the CEO of their lives. She previously served as a privacy counsel to Fortune 500 companies such as United Airlines and Anheuser-Busch, and graduated from Spelman College and Harvard Law School. So let's welcome Kimberly Pack. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. So, I'm so intrigued when you said, oh my God, United Airlines and Anheuser-Busch. So, those are, the big companies around here in actually the whole of the world, it's included.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, how is that working for these big companies?
It's interesting. It's rewarding because the work is, complicated and complex. They have a lot of customers. But when it comes to actually working there, there's a lot of different culture fits between different business teams, different relationships and dynamics with managers and peers. And so it's a different day every day when you work at a matrix large organization, but rewarding as far as the work goes.
All right. So can you share with me, or to the whole audience, what's your inspiration behind starting your mission-driven corporate wellness and strategy practice?
I mean, most of it came from my own experience being in corporate America leading up to almost 20 years, right? And again, in these matrix organizations, when you are trying to do the rules and follow the rules and put your head down and do hard work so you can get promoted and recognized and get professional development. But there's a lot of unwritten rules when it comes to being successful in these organizations. And so for me, having that experience of knowing, there's some things that are written, but there are some things that someone's gonna have to tell you how to navigate in order to be successful. And so I've always been a sponsor, a mentor, a coach to people in my network, but this is my first time saying, you know what, I wanna be able to share what I've learned and to help people outside of my network. And so that's why I started Ascend Together.
Okay, so it must be also somewhat scary, probably, going from big to small.
Yes. So it's very different. And being an attorney, I was never responsible for little things like the website. In my corporate job, I never had to worry about what made it on a website, who was doing a website. Even when we did webinars or things like that, I just showed up and I spoke. Someone else booked the Zoom, sent out the registration. So now I'm doing all these new tasks that I've never had to do before. And so it's very different. A lot of learning is taking place for me right now.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that because, most of the other people who come from corporate, they're thinking oh my God, that's easy because, I came from something big, and then they realize that, okay, I have to do something actually everything.
Yeah.
All of the important aspects, you have to do the finance, you have to do the marketing, you have to do the accounting, and all the other aspects which will actually make you flourish, even the operations and the social media and all those things. And you were saying a website.
Yes, the website is very what do you put it on and what's attractive to people, where do you want to put and having the content. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Of course, there's some frustrating moments as I'm learning new things like Canva. I believe Canva's the devil, but people say it's so great. But so I'm being stretched in a lot of new ways.
Okay, hello Canva. We need help.
I still paid for it. They got my money. I'm going to continue to use it, but it's not as easy as people make it seem.
Yeah. And aside from that, like there's always changes,
Yes.
like in these different applications. And so you have to keep yourself adjusted all the time and figure out, okay, what happened? Like, this was just here, like, this tool was just here and then it moved around. So like sometimes it can get confusing.
Yes.
Yeah. And then like, the social media, the algorithms are always changing. You can even get jailed in the social media that you cannot use it. So it's ridiculous, different things are happening and you have to be updated in all those things yourself.
Right.
So, what specific challenges do professionals from your Black and Brown communities face in corporate environments, and how does your practice address these issues?
Everyone has to figure out their path to success in these spaces, but marginalized groups like Black, Brown, Asian, and women also, right, face different, unique challenges in trying to be successful. And so this might be bias, microaggressions, some, cultural things where we have a lot of pressure to take care and support our families and our loved ones, and needing that validation and maybe not getting it at work. And so I feel like that community in particular needs different support to navigate the things that are really associated with their identity and how they get to show up in these spaces.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just wondering, did you also get the chance to be working overseas? Not sure, because
No, I've never worked overseas. I mean, I am an avid traveler, and workplaces vary in different cultures, but I will say, like, Black and Brown people, depending on where you go, so like the UK, they experience very similar things to us as in the States. And there's some communities where we kind of bond and we strategize together. But I haven't worked globally, but being successful in any matrix organization is going to take a strategy, not just going to work and doing a good job.
I was just asking because, I remember I have a friend. She was an HR of a big, worldwide company, and so she also faced some challenges because, she has to learn the different culture of different people, and she's the one who actually has to give the rules specifically to the persons they have offended some of the rules of the company. And so yeah, it was a challenging job, that I would say, because she is still awake wee hours of the night because she has to answer all of those different problems and situations that the company's encountering. And so so how do you tailor your coaching and workshops to meet the specific needs of professionals from diverse backgrounds?
Every strategy or blueprint that I help my clients get, it's really personalized. So I have a method, I have a framework, but my clients get to tell me what they want, right? They get to start dreaming about a different way of working. And I think that's the part that's really good, because sometimes people think what their experience is the only thing they can experience. Sometimes they may not have a lot of faith or hope that it can be different. And so working with a coach can help folks really reimagine their work lives. There's the amount of people that are burnt out, stressed, really struggling at work, even if they're doing a good job, in their personhood, they're not well, right? And so I think for me, that's what's been really important for my practice, to make sure that I bring in wellness, that it is an essential part, because you can give someone a book or tools and they may be able to do it, but if they have some inner work they need to do, some more confidence building they might need, some repair to some, hard things that might have happened at work that really traumatized them or hurt them, and being able to work through those things so that they can, determine what they want their new reality to be.
Okay. So when you talk about this trauma, are you talking about something which is related to their personal life when they were at home, or were they at work when this happened?
I'm mostly talking about the workplace trauma. And I think people don't use that language at work, but some of these spaces, some of our encounters, some of the actions that a bad boss might have, that's traumatizing. Some of the things you might be experiencing with a peer, if there's bias taking place, if you feel like there's unfair treatment or discrimination or racist actions taking place, these things have impact on us as individuals. And sometimes people don't get to name it. And so that's why it was important to me to get trauma certified, because being informed of how this impacts us, how we think and what we believe, and even our wellness, our health can also suffer. People get sick sometimes from the stress that they experience from at work.
Yeah, I was just traveling to Japan not too long ago. It's funny because like the suicide rate is so high because these men work after work. So after they are done with their 9 to 5, they still have to bring their clients outside because that's the tradition to take your clients out. So like they will be awake till probably 12 o'clock partying and, you know, having karaoke with their clients, and then afterwards they're gonna go home. So their body is tired. And so once they get home, they don't really have time in order to actually have a conversation with their wife because their wife is actually sleeping because like the wife is have to take care of the children for going to school the next day. And so I actually have a friend who married a Japanese guy. She's Filipina. And so she said that when they got married, she was a nurse. She said, I know much more better than my husband. And though now, like, you know, she said that it's my husband who knows much more. But, you know, they only have vacation near the end of the year. And that's the only time that they can have bonding. And so imagine, it's not just the stress with the person who's working, but also the stress for the woman because they don't really have much relationship that you can say. So it's rough, you know, and I feel sad as well because like, you know, as I was saying, some women have not worked all their life, and that means that, you know, once if the husband committed, you know, suicide, then that's unfair because the wife doesn't know any job.
Right.
I think you should go there and then like help the men and also the women who are their wives because like I think it's a unit per se. It still comes back to home, not necessarily just the work.
I think that's right. I think we are a person, right? And so we don't really get an opportunity. It may feel like we get to compartmentalize, but if your workplace is stressing you out, you are now stressed out. And so you're stressed out when you go home. And it definitely impacts your relationships because if you're tired, if you're annoyed, if you're frustrated, if you're just tired of talking, you know, it may not even be a direct response to your spouse, but just like your state of being just doesn't, you're out of capacity, right? You don't have any more things to give. And so you may just come home, you may not be involved or curious about your children's lives, your spouse's life, you know, extended family. Some of us have aging parents. And so even though we have workplace responsibilities, we have responsibilities in other areas of our lives. And it could be a lot for one person to figure out how to manage and maintain. And some of my clients are coming to me in that exhausted state. And where we start is really about getting intentional about our rest, which seems like a luxury to some people. It seems like a privilege to be like, rest. I'm tired. I'm busy. Who can take rest? And so that's some of the work I do with my clients is literally about getting intentional about having a well-rested life.
So like we're not in France, right? In France they have 3 days off in every week, and then come to think about it, like, you know, I think like the Western world is all about like, okay, how can I generate more income nowadays? And so, well, we cannot do so much because like, you know, cost of living is becoming high as well.
Yes, I think that's right. But I still think there's space for people to define success for themselves. So what is it that you really need?
That's
what
true.
is it that really brings you enjoyment? What makes you happy, brings you joy? And you might be surprised that it may not be the Porsche. It may not be this expensive Chanel bag. Those things are nice. But if we start getting really clear and intentional about really what lights us up, I think people would find that it's not as material as one might think. And that frees you up when you're not chasing for the biggest house or the nicest car or the newest or the latest, but you're still being able to be content and happy with what you do have. I think it gives you a lot of space to, you know, explore different ways of living and slowing down a bit to take care of yourself and to enjoy your family, your friends, you know, and things like that. So I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, telling you that because what happened is that it seems like even the books, like, you know, that we read, like, okay, Think and Grow Rich and all those things, they're all asking us to be like, you know, wealthy. Obviously, like, it's not for everybody because, like, you know, sometimes the priority is different. Like, you know, for them, some people probably is prioritizing money over relationship, or like some people are prioritizing relationship, because that's you were born from a relationship, you will die with a relationship as well. Like, you cannot just be bringing money in your coffin.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
What measurable impacts have you seen in the lives of the professionals you have worked with?
So it's varied. So some folks have gotten new jobs. They've gotten
Oh,
jobs that better align with them as far as the workplace culture, the hours. Some of my clients really want remote work so they can have that extra flexibility. We're talking about measurable. A lot of my clients are getting more sleep.
oh,
That's important. And so when I'm working with my clients, I am not just prioritizing money or raises, because some people might take a job that's less money but is offering them so much more in exchange. And so I'm valuing and coaching my clients to value things outside of just money, and to celebrate when they get the sleep that they need, to celebrate when they do active rest. My clients are being challenged to rest with the creativity and art and other things that also just rejuvenates them. And so we're talking about measurable things. So there is some money increases for some people, but for others, the big win is getting more sleep, getting more intentional with their time, and being able to free themselves up to spend more time with their friends and family.
I met a couple of guys like that. It's interesting because they've realized it earlier. So they don't need your coaching because they've realized it earlier. Because a lot of people have not realized that, that they actually compartmentalize their schedule. So it's not just like, all about making money all the time. Like, the guy that I was telling you about, like he said, like, I am satisfied with just being a manager. I don't want to be going higher because, like, it means that I will be getting more work. My husband is like that as well. Like, he said, like, I'm just, being in this level where I am at that, and I don't want to keep moving forward further because it's much more responsibility and taking care of other people. And he said, like, I'm not gonna take that. And then there's another guy, he's a stockbroker, and it's interesting because he's just happy with the certain amount that he's getting. He said, not gonna be pushing forward much more higher. I know that I can do it, but I don't wanna. Because like he said, like, I have more,
Yeah.
more things to be happy about rather than making a lot of money. Like, he's making a lot of money already, but he doesn't want much more.
No, I think that's right. I think making that decision for yourself is very empowering. It offers you a lot of freedom when you start making decisions that's aligned with what you really want. And so in those two cases, it seems like both of those people made that decision for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And the idea of becoming the CEO of your life is powerful. That's one of the things that you have said in your website. And so can you elaborate on what this means and how can you help professionals achieve it?
So for me, it's not just a tagline. I think people are existing and they're living and things are just happening to them, right? And so what I'm challenging people, and particularly my clients, is to become the CEO of their life. So when we think about what does the CEO do, right? The CEO makes all, final decisions. They manage the resources. They're responsible for like the overall health of the company. They put a team together. And so when I'm working with my clients, that's the first thing we're starting to do is like, what are our goals? And then who do you have in place to support you? And are you making intentional, strategic decisions based on a vision and a strategy so that you end up living the life that you want to live? Because that only comes with being intentional. I think some people are waiting for maybe the boss to see them, or they're waiting for some magical thing to happen in their relationships or their dating lives. And so I'm really challenging my clients, and like I said, everyone, to really put on their CEO hat and start making some real decisions and getting really intentional about what they really want, and then having a plan to accomplish the goals and make it a reality.
Yeah. You said mentioned the word dating because, like, I'm also a matchmaker, and then it's come to think about it, a lot of CEOs, they don't have time in order to find love because they're always working. And so, like, you come into that because, like, obviously you want them to be focused. Okay, I have to have time for other things. It's just not just like, work. And so they're always wondering how come, like, I never found a relationship. How can they find a relationship if there's no space?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also interesting about women at work because, one, more women are coming out of graduate schools than men. More women are entering the workplace and excelling, doing well. And some of them haven't made the time to date. And when I'm counseling all levels, particularly if when one of their goals is to be married or to have children, and they're like, but I don't have time. And I'm like, no, you have to make time, because you have to actually have the time for the husband and the children, right? And so if you don't have time to meet him, where are we going to find this time, to actually have and nurture these relationships? And so I really am encouraging people to go outside, to get on the apps, even if they don't want to necessarily, or to, go out to happy hours and things like that. Because I think that goes to your well-rounded person. Like, so if relationship is something that's really important to you, then being the CEO of your life means you have to set up some actions and some behaviors to align with that to make it happen.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face in growing your practice and how you overcome them?
Yeah, so I think some of the things early on is, one, the technology and all the resources that's out there, right? So you get to decide among all these tools. And so something that I would definitely tell myself starting over is, one, don't rush to buy things. Don't rush to purchase things. Test things out. If tools or technology or platforms have 30-day free trials, start with the 30 days. Use it consistently so you can figure out if it really works for you and your business. I think getting referrals for people. I know that, this is a gig economy. You can go to Fiverr, you can go to Upwork and get some assistance, but there's thousands of people on there, and you can find yourself like churning through people. So I think getting referrals from people who like someone's work, can speak to their work, is really helpful. But not buying a bunch of stuff in the beginning, I think, is like a really key thing to hold back on when you're just launching your own project.
Yeah, all those applications can all add up.
Yes,
because it can cost thousands in order to just use different applications.
Yes, I agree.
That's one of the advice probably you can say. But do you have any other advice that you can give to other entrepreneurs looking to start their own mission-driven business?
Yeah, sure. I think if someone wants to start, I think starting is key. I put mine out for a while. I actually wanted to start in 2022, and I started and I stopped. And so one of the things, I just start. Because once you start, you can reiterate, you can, change things, you can see what works for you, what doesn't. So I think starting is huge. I think the other thing is, don't be so quick to leave your 9-to-5 if you have one. I know that, there's some thoughts out there that's like, quit your job and start your own thing. And some people are in a position to do that, but I think people should be really thoughtful about how much income they need to already have coming in. So, how comfortable do they feel not having a safety net? How are they going to be addressing things like healthcare and things like that? Because that message of just quitting a job to start your own thing should be taken like, if it works for you, if it's gonna work for you, because a lot of times when you start, you don't make money right away, or you don't make a lot right away. And so people want to think about maybe doing both for a while. So that's something just to decide whether, if it's the right move for you. I would say if you have a 9-to-5, to keep your 9-to-5 and find the time to start the side thing until you get in a groove. And then consider leaving the 9-to-5. But I wouldn't be quick to leave the 9-to-5.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a friend, she actually was working on her own business for many, many years. And then she had her finances transferred to the building of a building that she is now renting out. But in the meantime, while she was, devoting all of her efforts in the building to have it built, she said, I had to look for an income. So she worked 9-to-5. So it's a matter of being flexible. Right. Because if you don't find ways in order to have another source of income, then you'll actually also be problematic. So you might as well take care of where are you going to be able to get the resources. So I think she has figured it out, might as well do something like 9-to-5, even she was not used with having a boss. Yeah. Because she is always the boss of her own. She had a drugstore. And so, yeah, it's interesting, how people can just shift in order to make things happen for them. And then now she's no longer working for 9-to-5. Now she has her own building, and she is the the CEO of her life.
Right,
She just
good.
collects the rents and then she's happy. She can treat people now. Okay, want to have lunch? I'll take you to lunch.
Yeah, I think that's great, right? So she figured out she had 9 to 5 for a little bit, and to her thing, supported her, and then you get to leave the 9 to 5, and I think that's a great approach.
Yeah. After having all of these conversations, I know that, we have shared a lot of nuggets to a lot of people because, obviously, we're here in order to support other businesses, in order to make things happen for them. Because, we have reached a certain age, and so some people, they're just starting. Like, I've seen a lot of business owners who are 20s, and they're still trying to navigate things, but you cannot say they're not successful. Like, a lot of them has just jumped to success, and then I was thinking wow, good for them. You have probably met a lot of those influencers, and they have figured it out quickly.
Yes. I think the other thing is everybody has their own path.
That's
and
true.
I think, really being focused on your own path, and you can see things for inspiration, but once you start criticizing yourself or
That's
comparing
true.
yourself where it becomes negative, I'd watch that too. So I'm very committed to being on my own path and, really staying focused on the things that I'm supposed to be doing in this time.
Yeah, okay, that's a
Yeah.
good advice too.
Yeah.
Focus on what you want rather than looking at the other people's business.
That's right. Particularly on the internet, because it could be fake, right?
That's
It
true.
might not be true. So everything that glistens, that looks good, may not be true, but use it for inspiration. If it's inspirational for you, great. But once it goes to a darker place, then we might want to take a different look and a different approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was great having you over here, Kimberly. And then for the benefit of those people who are watching, I'd like to invite you, if you are somebody who is starting your own business, you already are successful in your business, or if you're even somebody who is a coach or specifically specializing on a particular aspect of helping other people in business. Maybe you're an accountant, or maybe you are somebody who is consultant as far as business is concerned. We want to have you over here so we can help others, because especially women, and women of color as well, because obviously we have to work harder rather than the men or the other people of a different race. So we're here in order to support each other. Chicago is all about that all the time. That's what I've seen always, women for women. There are many, many groups about, those kind of things. So thank you so much again. And then we'll see you soon. You take care and bye-bye.